Hello, everyone, and welcome to another one of our Cherwell technical deep dives. Today, we're going to be talking about specifics and focusing on when specifics get too specific. My name is Tabitha Ishman, and I'm the marketing manager here at Excalibur Data Systems. And I just wanted to welcome all of you to the webinar today. I'm also going to talk about a few logistics before we go ahead and get started. So the lines are muted and the webinar is being recorded. The recording will be sent via email to all participants tomorrow. It'll also be available on our YouTube channel as well as our website. We'll answer questions at the end in a Q&A session, and you can ask questions at any time during the presentation just by typing them into the question window, and we'll make sure we get those answered. So I'm going to talk a little bit about who Excalibur Data Systems is. We are a leading edge consulting firm guiding organizations through their digital transformation journey. We also work with strategic partners and leverage best of breed enterprise service management technologies. And in doing so, we help create next generation solutions for our customers. And I know we have a lot of great content today. So to get us kicked off, I'm going to introduce Senior Solution Architect and Consultant with Excalibur Data Systems, Mike Estep.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Good evening, good morning, depending on where you're at. I am Michael Estep, as Tabitha said. I am one of the senior consultants and system architects here at Excalibur. Been around the block about 26 years in IT, ITSM, and service desk delivery, etc. Within 10 years and really going on 11 years now within the Cherwell ITSM platform, I started back in 2010 around the 3.0 days. And with me today, I have Ben, and I'm going to let Ben go ahead and introduce himself for a moment.
Hi, I'm Ben Terpstra. Similar to Mike, I've been working with IT for a while, about 11 or so years with IT, and then about 5 years specifically with Cherwell itself. And I've been with Excalibur for just over a year now.
Very awesome. So let's get this thing started. We give a quick overview here real quick of what we're going to look at. So I'm going to go through first for those that may be joining us that are new to Cherwell, kind of explain a little bit about what specifics are, etc. And then we'll go into the meat really of our presentation today, and that's consolidating fields, looking at service catalog considerations, and even consolidating them with specifics as well. Looking at portal versus default view. Very excited there. Some things that you may or may not have seen or ever considered that we can do with these specifics. And then we'll end with some additional thoughts in our presentation. So understanding specifics, why use specifics? Well, kind of to go in the very beginning, what specifics are. It's one of the things that Cherwell has put in their ITSM platform that is a great asset. It is one of the things that you can put in your forms, whether it's from portal or from a technician's side, to gather additional information without changing your overall default form, if you will. So it allows you to ask questions that you might need to get answers for without doing a back and forth with the person that's put the ticket in. There's some limitations with specifics, as with any business object that you have. Specifics is a group object. Group object meaning that you can have several business objects underneath one header, if you will. From a SQL standpoint, which is what Cherwell is based upon, it is one table. So if you look in SQL, you're able to see the specifics table. You're not able to see the children because they become a specifics type. So some of the limitations you consider, and out the gate, most folks say, I'll never reach that. And it is the limitation of 1,024 columns, which sounds like a lot until you start getting into all the specifics that you're going to put into your organization's forms. And you may reach that limit. We've seen a couple customers reach the limit a couple of times and having to make a new business object or a new group object specifics and carry on from there. Evolving your forms. I'm going to talk about this several times because this is one of the most important things that I think whenever you're doing specifics is evolving your forms. You see my little angry bird here, and I love my little angry bird. He's just kind of trying to walk. So that's kind of what I think when I think of evolving specifics, is that you want to start out kind of simple and then see where you fall as far as your service desk is concerned, going back and forth and trying to gather additional information based upon a service catalog entry. And maybe that's something now that I want to put into my specifics. So keeping it generic at first, not making it too specific, will allow you to evolve your form later and then get into that groove of folks, getting them used to, especially if they've never been from a portal in your organization, getting them used to that portal experience. What you don't want is to have them shy away from it because now they think it's more of a survey. And we've all taken those surveys where you get the email that says it'll just take 5 minutes, and you end up in it for 15 minutes, frustrated. You've got text fields you've got to fill out, and I haven't done those text fields where I have to fill out a lot of information, put a paragraph in there. I'm just not good at that. That was English. I've already left that behind. So give me radio buttons, drop downs, something that I can do quickly because I've got my job that I've got to do throughout the day. So when we're thinking specifics, we want to consider our end audience. We want to consider those people that are on the portal that are going to put these in and fill these things out, that we want to keep them as simple as we can while gathering the information that we need. Specifics on the other side, when we look at the default, we can make them a little more complicated because we've hired those smart people for our IT service desk that can kind of go through our specifics form, and it will help them out tremendously to remember the things that we all have to remember throughout the day. So on this next slide, I think I'm going to hand it over to Ben, and he's going to talk about consolidating fields.
Yeah, so consolidating fields, it's something you'll want to consider, considering the limitations of the specifics group. You have that SQL limit there, and by consolidating those fields, you can help save those columns and not have to do second or third or even fourth specifics group to handle all of that. So when you'll want to keep this in mind when you're creating these fields, creating these forms the first time. So like with naming of the fields, you want to make them short and concise and keep them generic. Some examples would be, you could have a form that asks for an approver name or a form that asks for an account name, owner name. Those could all be the same name field across all of your forms. That takes three fields down to just a single one. So you can keep them generic like that and still have it be a useful name. Yeah, and again, reusing those fields on those multiple forms saves that column space. Another thing you can do is taking large text fields, just where they need to put in a description or additional information. Maybe you'll have 2 or 3 of those for a form. You could consider making those just a description 1, 2, and 3, and reuse those large fields across the different forms. It's just a generic place to hold that information. The one thing you want to keep in mind, though, to balance out that generic name is reporting. Sometimes you will need to report on specific tickets with a specific piece of information, and if you go too generic and go over that line, then that reporting becomes much less useful. One example would be using logical fields. Oftentimes, I have a form that will have maybe 10 or 15 logical choices that could be selected. And I do like to use just kind of a generic name, logical 1, logical 2, so on and so forth. But if there is one logical field that I need to track, then that one I will make a named logical field and have it be specific to the form. So again, it's just, you really have to kind of balance the needs for reporting versus the needs to save space on those columns. So we're going to do a quick little demo here of how you can consolidate different fields. So let me switch over here. So we have a ticket just brought up, and we will, using an example of requesting a mailbox and requesting a calendar. Just keep in mind, these are very generic forms just to kind of display points. But you can see here on our request mailbox, we're asking for a mailbox name, email department, and then a text field just asking for a list of users needing access to the mailbox. Just a quick look in the background here. You know, we have a field name of mailbox name, email department, and then requesting access. Popping over to requesting calendar. You'll see it's very similar. We're asking one extra question here, but again, calendar name, calendar department. We are asking now for a calendar type. And then again, calendar access. So almost all of these fields we can actually reuse across these two different forms. So I see here we got this new form. So we've made the calendar name now just a generic name field, using that across both forms. But we are able to set a different label for that field. So when people are entering the information, they still know that this is the calendar name, not just the generic name field. And again, department, calendar type, we still have, since that is the question that's specific to calendar. And now this one is now just a notes field, because again, that's not one we'll need to really track at all. And then again, on mailbox, see everything looks the same, but we are just missing that that one field. So based on the request type, you can hide fields that you don't need and change the names, change the labels as well. So we've gone from seven fields here down to just 4 fields total. So just a very simple example of a way you can consolidate fields across multiple different forms. Hop back in here. So one other consideration you'll want to make is with your service catalog. You kind of just coming to the realization that each catalog item does not need its own form, and you can reuse forms across different subcategories. So with that, you'd want to look for like commonalities between the forms. Are we asking the same types of questions? You know, if you're only differing by like 1 or 2, then that can easily be consolidated and use visibility or constraints to change that based on the categorization. Along with that, you can also even combine categories. One pitfall we'll see is companies will have a list of applications as their own subcategory item. Oftentimes you can just take those and combine them into a single like application request by adding a single field to then denote the application, and then you can drive the questions from that pretty easily. We can actually go to another quick demo for that here. So if we look at our service catalog here under enterprise apps, you'll see we have a large number of different types of applications, even some named applications. A few that I want to highlight here, we just like Adobe, Visio, Snagit, and Cherwell. If we look at each of these forms, you can see we're asking just very simple questions, you know, who is the access for, and then any additional information. And then for Visio, very similar. This one has an additional question of access type, you know, read only, read write. But again, also just who is it for and any additional info. Snagit, again, similar to Adobe. And then Cherwell set up here, again, just asking for, again, that access type. So these are all forms that are asking for very similar things. So why don't we just combine that into a single category, saving space not only in our SQL table, but also in our service catalog, and just do application access. So we've taken all 4 of those different access types and consolidated to one single request, adding just the application name at the top here. And then you can see, Adobe Pro, we're asking, who is it for, and that additional information. But on that same form, if we're asking for Visio access, we can pop in that access type. Very simply just combine all 4 of those or more with a simple table on the back end to drive these either additional questions or just get those all combined there. One final thing we're going to talk about, and we'll show a demo of this as well, is talking about the portal view versus the default or technician view. You're able to have 2 vastly different forms for each of these views, which is really great because there's a lot of things that the technician will need that the end user won't necessarily need to see and will just clutter up the screen. But you can also design the form with these 2 different audiences in mind, as Mike was talking about earlier. So for the portal, you want to think about ease of entry. Think of what the end user is going to know and understand. So putting things in their terms and making it, quick and easy, drop downs, radio buttons to get that form entered. There too, you do want to keep that balance between, is it easy to enter the form versus gathering the information you need to complete requests or resolve incidents. Finding that perfect form is going to really strike that balance where it's quick and simple for the end user to enter, but still provides you, the end technician, all the information they need to fulfill that request, saving those extra steps of going back to the customer and regathering some of the information. So a lot of that is used with required fields, but the more required fields you have, and if they're not truly required, it's going to raise that barrier of entry, and people just won't use the form. They'll find another way to get their request in, or call the service desk and not use the portal at all. On the flip side of that, going to that default view, you can add in different things like additional information for the technicians, either to help them resolve incidents or provide information on routing, or even just knowledge articles to assist them to work through tickets, things like checklists to go through, just designed for either that first level service desk technician or even second or third level if the ticket needs to go that far. We'll take a quick look at a form for those. Jumped ahead a little bit. So we'll take a look at the portal form first. Just log in as John here. And what I'll be showing you here is the exact same form from the portal view and from the technician's view. We'll actually look at the same ticket that we enter here. We'll be able to see quite clearly the differences between these 2. It did not like my login there. One moment. There we go. So we're going to be looking at a printer form, printer incident. And again, these are pretty simple, but you can use any tips and tricks to expand the form as needed. So we'll go desktop printer and submitting an incident. We do have our standard incident form up at the top here. If they want to submit it on behalf of another user out of the box, describing the issue that they're having. A couple quick questions to kind of set priority. But then we also add down here below just the error code. Ask them for that. Now this is not required, but it does help us provide some very useful information. Like say they see it's 13, oh, it's just a paper jam. I know how to clear that. I can go do that myself. Don't even need to submit a ticket. It saves that time there. But if it's something a little more complicated, like insufficient memory, I have no clue what that is. I'll just get this ticket submitted and get some help with that. So we have that ticket created here. Let's jump back to the technician view. And now when the technician sees it, again, they get all the additional information from the normal ticket, but then their form looks very different. They have this checklist to go through of things to ask the customer if they have them on the phone, any notes that might be pertinent. But then they also get that error code that was submitted by the end user. So here they can say, okay, this is insufficient memory. Let me go ahead and send if I need to send a tech out to go see that, they can forward it on to a technician. If it's something quicker that could be maybe handled on the phone, they could see, oh, it's just the wrong size paper. Let me call them back. I can walk them through, setting up the correct paper there. But yeah, so it's just really nice that you can make these vastly different, use different language between the two forms for that end user and for those two different user group populations.
Hey, Ben, before you go back to the slide presentation, if you wouldn't mind, go back through Portal again, because your screen was locked on the login. So
oh, no.
We get to see the whole thing there with going in and looking. We got a very short glimpse of the Portal view. So
I apologize for that. Let me get that back up here. Just kind of ramming through on my script. I wasn't paying attention to the view screen. Let's see. Still on the service catalog. Why is it not showing my form?
it's always great to be doing a live presentation and having these technical challenges. I know that nobody's ever had these, right? Yep, not why it's sure why it's showing your form.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be showing my screen at all at the moment.
Okay, there we go. There we go.
There we are. Okay. So yeah, going back to that, up at the top here, again, the standard incident portal form, but then down below here we have where they can enter that error code, and then just based on a table, it can populate that cause right down here. And you see, as we switch that to different error codes, we get different cause responses that the end user could see.
Very cool.
Back to our presentation.
All right, so additional thoughts. When should I use a required field? That's a great question. When should I use a required field? Required fields are great because it allows us to gather the information that we need. But it doesn't become so great when we get the information that we need and the end user doesn't know how to get that information. then you normally get the NA, or you just get some other thing that they've just choose the first thing that comes to mind or whatever's in the drop-down list. So when doing required fields, the best practice really is to limit your required fields when you're creating these specifics. Try and let the user start filling out the fields first and seeing what you're missing. If there's something specific that you're needing every single time, that might be where then you try and pop that required field in there, and then evaluate it, 7 days later to ensure that folks are putting the right information in there and you're just not getting junk. So required fields are great because it allows you to say, hey, I need this information. But again, always try to evolve that form, and look at doing your required fields as a leader, not as a out the gate kind of thing. See what your customers are going to do. Maybe you've got customers that are absolutely awesome and they're always going to fill in everything that you need. Or maybe you've got that, and you always have the one that, the ones that I'm talking about, that no matter what you put in there, it's always going to be something, whatever they choose first. Giving options. Refrain from leaving that big memo text box up there for me to write something in there, because I'm not going to write you a memo. I'm going to keep it as small and as short and as possible as I can. And if it's not required, I'm not going to fill out that big text box. So giving options, giving drop downs, giving meaningful things that they will fill out. Also the radio buttons or check boxes or anything else that allows you to get information into their hands that maybe they could figure out what you're asking for, because it's the printer error code. Well, I can look and maybe I can see it on my screen because they're right there with everything that's happening with my printer, and I can just get that error code really quickly and type that in there. Or I could choose from the drop-down list of what are you looking for as far as an error code? What does it look like? Grouping things, so putting things together and putting a header over it of what is it that you're trying to get with these radio buttons? Why are you trying to ask me these things? Those will all help the adoption of your specifics forms and gathering the information so that you don't have to continuously go back and forth with your customer. You can get this stuff up the first time, which increases your efficiency for your service desk and help desk. And then the last point I've got on here, at least as far as additional thoughts, is this: evolve your form. I can't say that enough. Evolve your form. Start generic, build it over time. Give them things that you can put in. Your description is going to give you a lot of what's going on. The specifics are things that I can have additional. They're the great things that I need. They're the things that I need based upon the service catalog entry that I'm getting that I want to have, but evolve that form. Don't turn it into a survey going out the gate. You will not get some great adoptions. Let them get used to your forms and then kind of gradually give them more and more that they need to fill out, because now they're used to being able to click whatever you're supposed to click, etc. They're seeing that their problems are getting resolved much quicker by giving you this information rather than waiting for emails that may never get answered. The last thing we've got on here is a bonus demo. So Ben has put together an awesome example of a specifics form that's going to auto route multiple teams based upon what you choose in the specifics form, and using those questions to drive that team assignment. So I'm going to let Ben roll through this demo real quick, and this is a really great one to kind of watch.
Yeah, so let's go. Actually just built it into our application request form. So let's start up a new ticket really quick. I have people watching me, so automatically my typing becomes much worse. Okay, so access request. You can see right now, currently it is assigned to our first level support, but based on this backend table, we can switch it so that specific applications go to a different team. Again, this is just a very simple example, but as you change it, it can go to however many different teams you want it to, based on what they answer here. And then also as a bonus, you can also base approvals on this as well. So bonus within a bonus here. We'll come back really quick to see that, but yeah, just a quick setup on this table here. And this can be changed, on the fly without a blueprint. Say we want to send, Adobe to a different team. We can just go in and set that to, maybe that needs to go to accounting or building managers or customer service. You just change this here, and that automatically updates that. Same thing with approvers. You could set it to a specific approver, specific person, to a team of approvers, even to like the requesters manager. We should have that show here. Yep. So it's just a quick automation process. When a ticket is submitted for Visio, there's now an approval sent to Gina. And again, those can be based on the application, the type of access requested, any number of different things. You can set that up based on responses to the specific form. And this can be from the technician view, set from the portal view, however you want to set that up. But just kind of nice little bonus there as we were building these out for the demo.
So this webinar was kind of short, kind of to the point, but we wanted to make sure that we got that out there because it is one of those things that we come across a lot is the specifics. Getting too specific with your specifics forms. And these are some ideas that are able to, you combine some fields, combine some forms, even help you with your service catalog, get that thing a little bit shorter with your approvals in your own by teams rather than being linear based upon the incident subcategory. We could do it through specifics. So we're going to call for any questions now. And while you're typing them in here, I'm going to just do a selfless plug here real quick for the quest for collaboration. And what is the quest for collaboration? It's kind of like if you've ever been to a user group, it's that round table on steroids. It's where customers come and they don't have to be an Excalibur customer. They don't even have to be a Cherwell customer. If they want to come in and see what we're doing, etc. It's on Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Here's the link that you can go sign up. There is no sales pitches. It's exactly like you're going to a Cherwell user group roundtable. This is just for people to come in, ask questions. It may be one of us that answers that question. You may be stuck on something and say, I just need some direction on, I've got this thing and this problem and it's not working out just quite right. Somebody may have already done that and they can speak up and say, hey, try this. Or hey, try that, and then come back next week and let us know, what you did, so that everybody else can know the same thing as well. We talk about anything and everything that Cherwell customers might want to talk about within their upgrades, etc. All of those kinds of things that customers may be having challenges with. So if you'd like to join us, that's every Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So do we have any questions out there, Tabitha?
So I don't have any that came in right now. And so it looks like we'll be able to close out and give everybody a couple minutes back. I just had a couple things I wanted to say is that we do have 2 more Cherwell technical deep dives on the schedule so far. In 2 weeks time, we're going to be doing ours on KPIs. And then in April, we're going to be hosting one about effective searching. Also, and you'll be able to find those on the website listed below. So if you go to excaliburdata.com and then just go to the resources tab under upcoming events, you'll be able to find a full list of all the upcoming webinars that we do have. And I will be sending out a survey that'll be attached with the video recording from today. So if you just wanted to fill that out and let us know how we did, what kind of topics you want to see in the future, and just how you felt the content was today. So I wanted to thank everybody for being here and for Mike and Ben giving a great presentation, and we'll see you all next time.
Thank you all. Have a great day.
Thank you.